you're never going to be a Super Bowl champ. Never.
Speaking of Super Bowl champs, something just came out. We haven't really ever asked you about this or gone into this side of it. What happens with a team, inside a team, in the locker room, when you have controversy like the New England Patriots had, right? A couple players, one goes to the police station now, just a week before a big game coming up with the Chiefs. And this is not the first time they've had this. How do the Patriots continue to come back after Aaron Hernandez, Spygate, Deflategate, all these different things happen? What is it about that team that continues to have controversy but continues to come back from that?
Well, I think that the head coach is probably the most genius in player drafting in terms of drafting kids that aren't anything, that come from nowhere, being able to have an eye for it, being able to understand what their talent is and where they belong on their team. And he's just brilliant. You know, he comes up with game plans that no one's ever seen. He blows them away. And he's more of a scientist and a study than he is a coach. He's a lousy coach as a leader and a personality. He's got a lousy personality. But he's brilliant. He's totally brilliant. And they try to take every edge they can take, from deflating the balls to taping other people's practice and trying to get a hold of the playbooks, all that stuff. So it's a little bit of cheating, or maybe a lot, depends. And the other part is that he is extremely smart in understanding the football game, the X's and O's, better than anyone. Nobody's ever been as good as he is. And a lot of times he wins it just on his brilliance, because he keeps the other team off guard. They can't prepare for him because he never does the same two things every week. And that's why he sustained all of these Super Bowl wins. And the team that'll play them in the Super Bowl, not necessarily this year, he'll study everything. He'll study every weakness of theirs, and he'll come up with a scheme for it. And that's not usually what most of these head coaches can do.
You know, you nailed that on the head. I think Belichick is probably the best X's and O's guy out there at this point. What I have a question, actually, mostly for Marnie, because I know Marnie has a wonderful way, and I'd love to get this on a sound clip. But Marnie, what do you think was the cause of Belichick's black eye?
It's funny because I saw him the other day on TV, and it looked almost like he was wearing makeup. It didn't even look like a real, honestly, this was something, and I thought about it. This was something where I was like, you know what? He's so crazy. Maybe he didn't really get a black eye. Maybe he just said, let's just pretend I have a black eye. That'll give a little bit of distraction. People will want to know about it, and then everybody will be focused on that, and we can just go back to our own, back to our rooms and draw up our winning playbook, and we're going to have the last laugh, because it really didn't look like a black eye to me. It just looked like he had some makeup on. That being said, he probably hit a door. He probably was tired, working late, walked into a door. There you go. I don't think it's a very glamorous explanation for his black eye, and that's why no one's really, going into it. But it's certainly, when you see him on TV and he looks like that, it's definitely, that's all you want to know about. You're not really interested in their game plan to play Kansas City. You're really curious about how he got a black eye. So whatever they're doing, the players love him. He teaches his players discipline and dedication and passion and enthusiasm. I've never seen players, be disciples. He is a god to them, whether it's Julian Edelman, Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Danny Amendola. These guys worship this guy, and, they want to perform for him like a dad. They want to please him. They'll do whatever they have to do, whether it is deflating balls or, videotaping or stealing playbooks or whatever. They don't care. They'll do it because they want to please this guy. They love him.
Today he was actually seen. And what got me, and this is what bothers me at the same time, is that the Boston media, through that entire press conference, never even decided to ask him, almost like they were scared to ask. And I'm just not one of those people. So I say shame on the media for that. But today he was actually seen carrying around pair of boxing gloves around the around the halls at the Patriots training facility. So at least he's got a little bit of a sense of humor. And I guess I have to ask you ladies, and I'm not trying to rub it in, but the Philadelphia Eagles aren't in it this year. And this is our shock the jock question for today. I kind of wondered if maybe you're like rooting for maybe Andy Reid because of some connection there, or who are you ladies, both of you, who are you rooting for Super Bowl 50?
Well, when you become a general manager of a team, you only care about who your opponent is because you want to have a really good Super Bowl. You don't want a dead Super Bowl where it's so outnumbered and so boring that nobody watches it. And so it's kind of, yes, you want your own team to win, but if you're not in it, you want to have a real competitive game. That game between, I think it was Minnesota and the Denver Broncos, that was an unbelievable game. It just held your attention the entire time. That's what football's all about. We want a really good game, and we want really good coaches that can actually fight against each other in a way that makes it very interesting. Not just, okay, hand the ball up. Okay, run the ball. Okay, throw a short pass. That stuff's boring. And so if I was rooting for a team, I want teams that can actually rise above the normal and get some really fiery stuff that keeps everybody's attention and maybe goes right down to the wire. Just because it makes football better. It makes, the people that invest in Super Bowl and the time and watching, that it really makes the game better. And it's better for football. So, when you're an owner, that's
oftentimes the divisional games are better than the Super Bowl.
They are.
This week actually pits some really good opponents against each other. Seattle is traveling to Carolina, and that's who you were talking about with the Minnesota game. Seattle just doesn't give up, and Carolina is a very tough physical defense. Plus, Kansas City, who's on a umpteen trillion game winning streak, is going
Kansas City
to the New England Patriots to take on the defending Super Bowl champion. So, ladies, you're absolutely correct. The best football is coming up this weekend.
That's usually what happens.
They get matched. They're good matches this week. Very good.
Do you ladies have anything else to add to us? Any like insight or things that you've seen that have come on this week before we let you go and start heading our closing up our show? I guess the stretch is having some technical difficulties, the show following us, and they're worried that they're not going to. I guess they have a very special guest on, thanks to Mrs. Marnie Schneider there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What is it?
So your guest bumps us off. How's that work out?
They're having some tech issues that they're letting me know about, and I think I might have to take a look at it before things head that direction. And I really want that show to be successful, especially tonight with their special guest. But I also have, I guess I have one more question for you ladies. As time goes on with this coaching carousel of sorts, is there anybody you're pretty sure will not get a job? I'm pretty sure you can leave. We can already throw Chip Kelly on that list. I've heard your guys' thoughts and views on him. But is there somebody who's going to be left in the cold this year and maybe gets a broadcasting job or anything like that?
Well, I don't know where Tom Coughlin's going to go. He's not a young guy. He's a good coach. He's a very smart coach, but his coaching in the last couple of years looked lousy to me. His game planning was just lousy, predictable, lousy. And I don't know where he's going to get a job, even though he wants to stay in football. He wants to be there. But I don't know that he'll get the hook in. I don't think he'll go anywhere if he's not a head coach. I think he won't. But he's very well liked by his players. But look, he was with the Giants 12 years. So they learned to really enjoy him and love his workouts and understand him and appreciate him. And I don't see a fit for him anywhere.
Yeah, and I kind of get a feeling that maybe the just kind of the overall work of the thing is possibly going to make this a difficult situation for him. And I don't know if he would take a position like going down to as far down as like wide receivers coach, but I think
no way.
coordinators and head coaches, I think that's well past his ability at this point. He's had a good run, and he's had a great career and a couple of Super Bowls, and hopefully even the Hall of Fame. But at this point, I think you're absolutely right on the head on that one.
Yeah, I think he'll have a hard time trying to, and he wants to be near his kids in New Jersey, so that doesn't give him a lot of teams.
Doesn't leave him. No, there's not a lot of. It's Philly or nothing, I guess at that point.
Oh yeah, there is one more question. I got a question. Rex Ryan, I'm not a big fan of him. In fact, I think he's kind of an idiot. But he recently hired his brother, Rob Ryan, to coach, to help as a defensive coach for the Buffalo Bills, who did not do a very good job. And Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan, wherever he's gone, it's usually had a defense ranked under 25. How long does something like that happen before you end up getting rid of just anybody with last name Ryan?
Well, those boys were raised together. They were raised by their dad. They were not raised by their mom. She was Canadian. And she sent their kids because they wanted to be in football. So she sent her kids across the border when they were in their early teens so that they could be with their dad. And they always were together, these two boys, always. They were always together in training camp, in different opportunities. Until they were adults, they never left each other. So I think that there's a real bond between the two of them, and they trust each other. And I don't think that Rob is such a bad defensive coach. Sometimes he's good, and sometimes he's not. But I think he's got some skills, and I think Rex has a different kind of skill. He's not as good.
I like Rex,
skill.
By the way. I like
he's
him.
very likable.
Players love him.
He's very likable.
I've been told his energy can really fill up a room.
There's an amazing book that came out a couple of years ago called Collision Low Crossers. And it was written by a guy named Nick Davidoff, Mike Tannenbaum, who is, in my opinion, one of the great GMs of our future, who's now at the Dolphins. But Mike let this writer have a year of full access to the New York Jets. And he gave him an office at the Jets and said, okay, you can write whatever you want. And this book is incredible because it really chronicles a full year of going through the drafting, going through the scouting, going through, preseason, the whole season, going on scouting trips with Rex and Mike Patine, who, was a great guy, a great coach at the New York Jets. This book is, Nash, you guys would love this book. It's called Collision Low Crossers. That's my tip of the day. It's 500 pages. It's very, very deep thinking football and a lot of X's and O's, but really talks about what a great guy Rex Ryan is and why players like him and what's going on, the nitty-gritty of it between the Darrelle Revis conflict and Patrick Turner, who was a young wide receiver at the time at the Jets, and Mark Sanchez. All these different things. It's really interesting, and once you read it, you become pretty much a Rex Ryan fan. So I strongly recommend it.
That's a great tip. I'm going to read that book. I'm a reader, so I appreciate that.
It's called Collision Low Crossers, which is the term itself is technical, so you're going to need glasses after you're done with it.
Matt reads much more than I ever will. But ladies, it is that time again. We got to let you go. Thank you so much for being here. And this is Marnie Schneider of the charity organization Keep On Playing, and Susan T. Spencer, former GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us.
Have a great week,
Thank you guys for having
football.
us.
Everybody get excited.
Thank you. Take care.
That's great. You too.
All right, thank
Bye-bye.
you. Okay, bye.
All right. Wow.
Yeah,
They
are so awesome. God, it's so good to have them on. I just get excited. What a refreshing point of view. And what I like is this, especially for, they're not afraid to speak their opinion. They don't count down to what anyone else thinks. They don't go, if the opinion goes the way they go, that's fine. If it doesn't, they're not afraid to say, hey, no, I totally don't agree with that. And that's great. I think it's awesome that they do that, and they're very knowledgeable.
It is. It absolutely is. With that, I'm Nash.
And I'm Matt.
And you're listening to NFL Talk. Have a nice night. We'll catch you tomorrow.
That was NFL Talk Late Night from from Jack Journal with the biggest morons in the country. If you aren't asleep already, it might be time to get to bed. However, I'm sure most of you are still looking for me on AshleyMadison.com.